So over the course of the past month, there's been an ongoing discussion about Batman and his penis. I know, thrilling, compelling, amazing stuff. But DC and their DC Black label decided to do it, decided to show Batman's junk. And of course, it caused a bit of a stir. Now DC wishes the Batman nudity had never happened. Again, I think this is running away from the problem. I think this is running away from the problem. Bat junk was a thing. We've talked about it on this channel multiple times because it kept coming up in weird and interesting ways. So basically, it goes on to say here that DC executives regret the much discussed panels depicting a nude Bruce Wayne in Batman Damned #1. Which, again, if you don't know the story of that, the story of that is Batman, someone kills the Joker. Batman's not sure if it's him. He goes to Constantine to help him. Batman, like, it gets healed magically, right? He was messed up. He gets healed magically. He goes to the Batcave. He strips down naked to be analyzed by the Bat computer to see what's going on with him. And as he's stripping down, because he's just trying to figure it out, the panels then depict his wang in, like, I think 3 different shots. Then, of course, you had anti-circumcision groups coming out and being upset that the Bat penis was circumcised. And so then you had that conversation as well. Again, it was odd. It was interesting. It's Batman. Now, it says the sheer amount of media attention paid to the issue released last month caused even DC to reassess the Black Label imprint the series launched. Black Label is intended to permit publishers' premier talent a certain level of creative freedom they wouldn't receive working in continuity DC Universe titles, which is, yeah, it's interesting. Like, it allows them to kind of act, like, no holds bar, everything off limits sort of thing. That allowed Brian Azzarello and Lee Bramho, I'm mispronouncing that, to create a dark and atmospheric issue about Batman and John Constantine. The more noteworthy aspect, or newsworthy aspect, was that the issue included a brief scene of full frontal nudity from Batman. The panels were censored in digital copies and for future print editions, basically turning it into, it's the Streisand effect for one, and two, it is now a complete, it is an absolute complete, collector's item. So it says here, it made us look at what Black Label is and think about whether these elements are additive to the story, and that's something we'll be mindful of going forward. This is coming from DC co-publisher Jim Lee at New York Comic-Con, saying, because I don't think we necessarily want a repeat of what happened with that first issue. Well, the question boils down to, the question ultimately comes down to, was it a big problem? Did it impact sales negatively? If it didn't, then who gives a shit, to be fair. If it didn't, who cares? If it did, then I understand your point. But it's also like people freaked out at Batman's penis, but it's like they're going to have the initial freak out. If it was like, again, in 2012, when they did the whole New 52, Batman boned Catwoman on a rooftop at the end of the first issue. It was kind of controversial at the time, but then people moved the hell on with it. Here, it's like that initial reaction and of like, oh, it's Bat junk. And then DC's reaction of, oh, damn, what do we do? And then to see backtrack, and to try to scrub it out of existence. And that only makes it worse. It only makes it worse. It really honestly does. So at that point, they should have just, kept it around. Maybe don't do it again, but don't shy away from it. The male anatomy is nothing to shy away from. That's part of the problem with our culture, right? It is. Penises, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of them outside of my own, but it's just, again, you look at penises and you're like, oh, it's terrible, right? Like if we're ever, like, you ever go to a nude beach and it's like, oh, there's some junk there. Not a big fan of that. But people watch porn all the time and there's penises everywhere in pornography and they don't seem to care, right? Because in certain contexts, penises are not going to be a problem. This, again, is one of those things where it wasn't done sexually. It wasn't erect. It was like maybe at half mast or whatever, but whatever. And the point is that again, there's that fear, that stigma attached to penises. And I think that's what it boiled down to. People in this country cannot handle dick. They can't handle penis that is not their own or something they see through a computer screen or their phone. You know what I mean? And so it's like, there's that. That's all it is. It's all boiled down to. Now the Streisand effect kicked in. Oh, well, we wish it never happened. We backpedaled. We're trying to make it a big thing and we're trying to get rid of it. And everyone's going to be like, now I'm going to go buy it, or now I'm going to go find a copy of it. Now I'm going to go check it out because I want to see what all the fuss is. All right. Like the Streisand effect can work. Look at 2 Girls, 1 Cup, right? You know what pushed that to be as popular as it was? YouTube reaction videos of people wanted to go see what it was because they saw people's reaction to it. Streisand effect, right? You can't put the genie back in the bottle and you can't put the bat suit back on the dick. All I'm saying. And but he goes on to say here, this is Dan Dito or DDO saying here, it's something we wish never happened because it really took the attention away from what we thought was quality storytelling, and that's not the way we see this imprint. Well, from what I hear, the story's pretty good, but you have 3 panels of bat penis. Who cares? And then they're going to do a whole bunch of other titles with it as well. But they've at this point effectively made Batman Damned all about Batman's dick, right? And that is what took away from the story from them, which is just funny to me because they should not have done it. Well, no, I don't want to say they shouldn't have done it. They should stand by it, right? You have the DC Black Label meant to be kind of like all, no censorship. Do whatever you want, total creative freedom, have a lot of fun, rock out with your cock out sort of thing. In this case, literally. And they're backpedaling, and it's, you're only making it worse, DC. You're only making it worse. You should just let it fly, and then just don't talk about it. Put it out there, let people discuss it, then don't talk about it. But you've brought it up so many times now that this is like my 3rd video on the subject, meaning I've spent more time in my life talking about Batman's drawn penis than I ever should have. So thanks, you jerks.